reflects the need for improvement in areas with unsatisfactory performance. And at the end of the day, the objective is efficiency and quality achievement for the future business perspective. So, at the end of the day, the objective of any performance measurement is to improve on efficiency and the quality of deliveries in supply chains. So, with this background, uh, I would like to come to the part that what the different researchers had a view on performance measurement. So earlier two definitions were the generic in nature, but as the research progresses, the performance measurement gets evolved. So some of the popular views on performance measurement suggested by the different researchers, I have tried to sum it up in a few slides. Majority of the researchers suggested that performance measurement is nothing but a process of quantifying the efficiency and effectiveness of action. You see, efficiency and effectiveness. Efficiency, we all are aware what the efficiencies are, output to input. But effectiveness means how, up to what extent your actions are able to achieve or improve the deliveries. So basically, to identify in terms of some symbols or in terms of some units or some mathematical empirical formula, if we can identify or establish different criteria of supply chain, so that is basically the performance measurement. Other is evaluating performance relative to a defined goals. In operations management, there is a very interesting techniques. It is popularly known as LOB, L-O-B, line of balance. The basic premise of this definition is based on LOB techniques. Those who work in operations management, they are aware that LOB basically establishes some benchmarks in different domains. And the supply chains try to achieve those domains. I mean, there are certain benchmarks and what you have achieved today. So that comparison is basically LOB technique. So this line of balance technique is can also be taken into consideration while evaluating the performance. What are your targets and what you have achieved? So that is again a part of performance measurement. Another perspective is the process of evaluating performance in terms of explicit short, medium, and long-term objectives achieved and reporting the results to the management. This definition takes into consideration of the tactical level managers. They may have some short-term objectives, some medium-term objectives, and long-term objectives. And those objectives, what you have achieved today vis-a-vis the objective you have set, so that gap you try to report to the top management, decision makers, which are based at the helm of the affairs. So again, performance measurement from that perspective, the time horizon suggests what you have achieved and what you are expected to achieve. One important and the popular definition of performance measurement is the process of transferring the complex reality of performance into a sequence of limited symbols that can be communicated and reproduced under similar circumstances. So this is a bit of, you see, if you are to measure a voltage between 2 points, or for that matter, the current, you use ampere, you use voltage, and similarly for power, there are different units. So if you can transfer your data, your information, your performance in terms of those symbols, that layman or the person who are interested to take, who have stakes to take decision, they can understand. So that is also a part of performance measurement, because what you have read, if you are translated into some symbols that the people can understand, again, it is of course, and under similar circumstances in the same context. So that also becomes performance measurement. Similarly, performance measurement is the language of progress and provides a sense where we are and more important, where we are going. That means where do you stand? What initially you are expected to achieve, and where do you stand? So performance measurement system able to convey your situation. Where do you stand today? So in order to guide and decide the future course of action, again, it becomes imperative for any performance measurement to work on that. Similarly, it can guide progress towards the planned objectives. It's not just a means of observing the past data, it is a tool for leading an organization into a better future. If I have to explain this definition in simple words, I can put it in this way. There are 6 parameters in your supply chain works. In 3 of the parameters, maybe you are leading, but in rest of the parameters, you may be laggard vis-a-vis your competitors. So performance measurement not only suggests the metrics, but it can act as a guideline to suggest you that you are leading on this count. These are your competitive parameters. However, there are certain areas where you need an improvement. So in a way, performance measurement also highlights, not only highlights our weaknesses, but it also gives what are our competitive, what are our different competencies, so that we can work on the weaknesses and rise to the occasion. In general, performance measures can be classified into qualitative and quantitative terms, or in financial and non-financial, tangible or intangible manner as well. So some authors have used the term as hard measures, as soft measures, and tangible and intangible measures. So it is pertinent to mention here that not all the performance measures are the kind of measure which one can quantify in some mathematical units. There are certain measures which are non-financial in nature but plays a crucial role. If you look at the balance sheets are generally prepared by the chartered accountant. So according to a chartered accountant, what are the performance measurements? If we talk to any chartered accountant, he will say, sir, what is the profit and loss account, and what are your profits, and what is your cash return cycle. So these are the things he will talk in terms of these values. But we as an engineer, we understand that there are certain metrics which are very essential, crucial for supply chain management, but it doesn't, they don't get any space in balance sheets. Like lead time. Does any of the balance sheet of any business organization speak about the lead time, delivery time? How many times we have unsuccessfully met the deliveries? How many times we have failed the deliveries? No chartered accountant would appreciate, because they are not able to show it in their balance sheet. So performance measurement here comes into picture and suggests that, look, there are certain measures which are financial in nature, but there are other measure as well which we cannot quantify, but they are equally important. If we ask that flexibility to meet the demand of the customer, I mean, suppose a customer has placed an order for 50 ton of a particular material. In the last minute, he will change that instead of 50, can you increase it by 52 metric tons? So that is the flexibility to meet the customer's demand. So how competent your supply chains are to address such kind of situation? So that comes into intangible or the non-financial category. No mathematical method can suggest to measure this flexibility to deliver, to make the deliveries if the customer changes the demand. So that is where the performance measurement comes into picture. That is why it has been suggested that not all performance metrics can be classified as financial. There are metrics which are non-financial but equally important, and sometimes more important than the quantitative metric. Now, financial performance measures, as I said, if we talk to any chartered accountant, he will always speaks in terms of profitability, cash flow, ROI, overhead absorption, etc., which actually tends to focus on resultant impact in financial symbols of any production or the manufacturing activity, rather than the actual production activities which non-quantitative performance measures such as labor efficiency. You will appreciate, and it may be widely acknowledged that none of the balance sheet speaks on labor efficiency, capacity utilization, lead time, delivery precisions, like how many times we have successfully executed order on right time. So such measures from operations management point of view, from manufacturing perspective, from engineering point of view, stresses more than any of the financial metrics. So performance measurement, the best part of the performance measurement is that it not only throws light on the financial metrics, but it also suggests non-financial performance measures which are equally important. So on one hand, hard performance measures like lead times, order fill rate, productivity, efficiency, total cost, etc., indicates pure facts that are possible to measure directly, whereas soft measures, which most of the operations management stresses, like predict quality, accuracy of forecasting, accuracy of filling orders. I've given the example earlier. Service capability, delivery timeliness, etc., are intangible metrics that have to be gauged indirectly. So, therefore, the soft performance measures should be used in such a way that they indicate intangible performance measure with direct metrics. The meaning is no matter how qualitative the performance metrics are, but at the end of the day, performance measurement system not only identify such metrics, but it helps us to translate into the financial metrics like lead time delivery. No doubt it is a qualitative metrics, but we all understand if out of 10 times, 6 times we have failed to meet the delivery, then the same customer may switch over to our competitor. So our profitability gets reduced, our market share gets reduced. At the end of the day, it is going to affect us quantitatively. So performance measurement not only highlights on soft measure, but it also helps us to get soft measures translated into hard measures, which gives output in financial terms. So that are some popular definitions. So now these definition in this slide will speak that what can performance measurement uh, suggest to supply chain as a system. You see, as I said, it is an emerging area, evolving field because system engineering has become is in fact an interdisciplinary approach. So it has an added advantage today in terms of IT support system as well, because IT helps to gather the performance relevant data from different sources, help us to compare with the current value against vis-a-vis historical and the target values, and communicates the result to the decision manager. So here lies the crux. Decision managers have a report card on their table when they are likely to take a call on any of the crucial matter, because the PMS, performance measurement system, give them a data which can further augment their decision making capabilities. Needless to mention that performance is a multi-dimensional concept. A performance measure system is able to manage both financial and the non-financial. So multidimensional concept in a manner that the both type of decision makers like financial and the non-financial people can be called on board, and they can make decisions on performance measurement system. So it becomes a multidimensional concept. Performance measurement system not only measure the performance of functional unit, functional unit like business enterprise, business units, and different departments of the unit, but also take into account entire business approach and the value chain. Here comes the system approach into picture. Like for performance measurement system, if we are sometimes we can use it in a modular using modular approach. Modular in the sense that we can, if we are to compare two different functions on a same parameters, or two different departments on a same level, so we can develop department level performance measurement system separately, and when we view the entire factory or entire supply chain as a unit, then we can club all these different performance measurement system initially designed for different departments and take a call while using the system approach. So both ways it helps. It helps in when we narrow down this approach at a divisional level. At the same time, we can use the performance measurement system as a tool to review the performance of an entire system as well. So both way we can use it. Now, depending on the performance measurement system frameworks being applied, different relevant dimensions and the performance indicators can be defined to cover all the aspects of entire business process, keeping the global objective in the center of any business system. So it speaks about when we treat one organization as a unit. So at the end of the day, we must be interested to know that what are the total performance metrics we may be interested to look at. So it is the system approach. But performance system should adhere to some basic criteria. It is a different, I mean, the different, what we say is a prerequisite that it should not violate or it should adhere to. Like the measures must provide timely, relevant, and accurate feedbacks from both long-term and the short-term perspective. It speaks about the time horizon. Our measures shouldn't either be biased towards the feedbacks that are valuable on the long-term basis and the short-term perspective. So, in nutshell, it should include both long-term and the short-term perspectives when it suggests different performance metrics. It should be free from different sort of bias as far as the time horizon is concerned. Besides, measurements should be undertaken in a ways that are easily understood by those whose performance measures are to be evaluated. You see, one can suggest world-class business parameters, performance measures, but what is fun in adopting those performance measures when the real actors are not able to understand them? You see, if I'm a machine operator, I understand my machining parameters, speed, feed, depth of cuts. I don't understand, I'm not interested in the life of the machine. I'm not interested in the depreciation of the machine which I am working on. So I should be taught, I should be informed about the performance measures which I can understand. Based on that, I can take action. So that is the basic sine qua non for this performance measurement. That becomes the prerequisite. Means what performance metrics you decide today, it should be easily understand to the people for whom they are being. So as simple as that. They shouldn't be complicated enough to understand for the managers or for the real actors who are actually going to take part into its execution. Now, as we have seen it earlier, the measurement should be accomplished by a limited number of performance measures that consists for both financial and non-financial measures. This point I'm going to take up in my subsequent slides that speaks about there is no fun in suggesting a host of performance metrics. We have to be context specific. There should be a system in place that could suggest the performance metrics which are of importance, which are of least importance, which are of the moderate importance. Means prioritization. So number one thing is that we should only inform the metrics which are of importance to the people, which makes sense to them. Alternatively, if we cannot afford to cut it short, at least there should be some guidelines to suggest the system that the metrics which are of high importance, which are vital, crucial. It's like ABC analysis. That we'll see. Now, if you look at this slide, you see these are the popular researchers that suggest different frameworks for measuring performance measurement of different enterprises, different units, different kind of business, including the supply chain. David Norton and Robert Kaplan in the landmark work reported in HBR, Harvard Business Review, they suggested the balanced scorecard. That I'm going to discuss in subsequent slides. As early as long back 98, 89, Cross and the Lynch has come out with a strategic measurement analysis and reporting techniques, popularly known as SMART technique for performance measurement. Some strategic performance measurement system, some performance measurement for world-class manufacturing has also been suggested. So these are some popular framework which has been reported in literature widely and widely being practiced even today. Balanced scorecard initially was used widely in accounting system. Then it later came into manufacturing. So similarly, these popular framework has been into existence and widely practiced by different companies even today. So that's why I thought it appropriate to share with you, because they are very they are reported in early 90s, but still they are tested, they stood the test of the time. The SMART technique, strategic measurement and analysis and reporting technique, it was developed by the Wong laboratories. So this system was developed as a result of dissatisfaction with traditional performance measures to integrate both financial and the non-financial reporting. So a SMART system came out with a 4-level of pyramid of objective and measures. At top of it is the corporate vision strategy, followed by business unit market and the financial objectives that later included business unit operational objectives and priorities at department level. So SMART activity, it includes different 4 levels of decision pyramids. Another important was the performance measurement questionnaire. PMQ helped managers to identify strengths and failures in the current performance, which determine the extent to which the existing performance measures support improvements and establish an agenda for performance measurement improvements. It involves a workshop to develop, revise, and refocus the set of performance measures. So in PMQ, the quality circle-like exercise has been done. Different people from different functional responsibilities come on a mutually agreed date and conduct a workshop to develop, revise, and refocus the set of performance metrics. So it has the advantage of providing a mechanism for identifying the performance improvement areas of the company and their associated performance measures. So cross-functional teams come together and suggested different metrics. Balanced scorecard suggests 4 different perspectives, which include the customer perspective, internal innovative learning, financial perspectives. So the measures, all measures are categorized into these 4 perspectives: internal business perspective, customer perspective, financial perspectives, and the innovation and the learning perspectives. Strategic performance measurement system suggested by Vitale et al. Presented an action-focused tool. It is an action-focused tool, a strategic measurement system that concentrates on the organization strategies. The ideas were developed based on hands-on experience, and the concept concentrated on specifying the goals, matching performance measures to the strategies, identifying performance measures, predicting the results, which are positive and negative behavior associated with the measures, and the building commitment for planning the next step for the future. Another important performance measurement system was PMS, Integrated Dynamic Performance Measurement System. It was developed by integrating 3 core areas of any business entity. One is management, another was process improvement team, and the factory shop floor. Further, these areas are linked to the specification, reporting, and dynamic updating of the defined areas of success, performance measures, and performance standards to achieve an integrated system. So basically, it tried to integrate three levels: management, process improvement team, and the factory shop floor people, who are the real actors in execution process. Another interesting framework for performance measurement system reported is holistic process performance measurement system. It in fact investigates the performance of the process for five aspects: financial view, employee view, customer view, societal view, and the innovation view. So all stakeholders the views of all stakeholders of the organization are taken into consideration. So definitely, needless to mention, some of the views are qualitative in nature, whereas some views like financial view are quantitative by nature. Now, these are the popular frameworks still in operation, in practice, in various industry and the business processes. But this slide speaks about the major impediments which come across in performance measurements. You see, many methods have been suggested over the years for various systems, including supply chain. Now, I'm going to talk in the context of supply chain. These different approaches, the frameworks we have seen in last slides, have been deployed for measuring different performance measures in different business units, including supply chain. However, a balanced approach to evaluate supply chain is a source of increasing cost and concern, as conventional methods focus only on popular financial measures, which are best suited to measure the value of simple supply chain management application. So our conventional methods more focus towards, or we may say bias towards, financial measures. So need arises of a system which takes a pragmatic view, balanced view that includes both financial and the non-financial measure. So if we look at the different supply chain, still the supply chain's performance report card mainly focus on the financial measures only. So need of a balanced approach as a call to look for a balanced approach is always there, which confronted the researchers. Unfortunately, majority of the evaluation methods that rely on financial measures are not well suited for newer generation application of supply chains. Besides, today's supply chain management operations are also provide benefits, many of which are intangible, non-financial, and qualitative in nature. So as the conventional performance measurement system are more biased towards quantitative measures, but benefits which we have seen, which are intangible. So need exists. I mean, there is a need to look for a system which speaks about the non-financial and the qualitative measure as well. So for researchers, the researchers has to look for the call from the supply chain scheme to look for the measures which are non-financial and the qualitative in nature. Apart from this, some supply chains demanded a clear distinction of performance metrics which are needed at different decision levels. The people which are based at a strategic level, they are no longer interested to deal with the supply chain measures which are of the short-term time horizon, or similarly, vice versa as well. So need arises to look for a performance matrix which can easily distinguish or differentiate that these are the metrics which are of importance for strategic level people. These are the metrics which are important for the middle level management people and operational people. So it is the confusion among managers can be seen widely in different supply chains because they are to deal with n number of performance measures. They are not clear about which measures are of importance to them, as one size fits all approach does not suffice and support all supply chains. So these are the impediments we can see. The majorly is the confusion between qualitative and the quantitative measures, because majority of the performance measurement system only speaks about the quantitative measures. Another thing is the different metrics. A clear distinction is the need of the hour which can identify clearly the performance metrics which are of importance at strategic level, tactical, and the operational level. So these are the problems. The Gunasekaran, in his landmark paper for performance metric for supply chain, has come out with a list of different performance metrics. A close study of this table will tell us that different performance metrics have been categorized and or the classified at different decision levels. Many of the questions we have seen so far has been adequately addressed by this table. If we look at this table, we'll find that different performance metrics are not only classified at different decision levels, but they have also been categorized based on their qualitative and quantitative need. If you look at this table, you'll see that some of the performance metrics are financial in nature, whereas some metrics are non-financial in nature. So it is a clear-cut framework that suggests that if there are performance metrics, some metrics are financial, some are non-financial. However, some of the metrics are both in nature. Similarly, at a strategic level, tactical level, and operational level, now the people, based on their hierarchy, can take a call on that look, these performance measures are of importance to us. So they no longer need to devote their energy and resource and the time on the measures which are of not importance to them. So these supply chain metrics have been classified at different decision levels in the hierarchy, and the people based at tactical level, they need not to worry about the performance metrics which are of importance at the strategic or the operational level. Similarly for other people also, and the decision makers can also understand that some of the measures are non-financial in nature, so they may not uh, get reported in their balance sheets, but they are equally important, so they can work on that. So this table has been narrowed down further to identify the key performance metrics only. So this table suggests the different performance metrics suggested by different researchers and their importance at different decision levels. Now, I'm going to present how the balance scorecard can be used for supply chain management evaluation. We have seen that balance scorecard suggested 4 different perspectives: financial, internal business processes, the customer, and the learning and growth. These these different perspectives actually complement financial measures of past performance with their measures of the drivers of future performance. So they try to integrate the past performance to the future drivers. So they not only look at the past journey, but they also look at the destinations that needs to be covered in future. The name of their concept reflects an intent to keep score of set of items that maintain a balance between short-term and long-term objectives, between financial and non-financial measures, and between lagging and leading indicators, and between, of course, internal external performance perspective. So this balanced word actually comes into the context in the way that it tries to strike a proper balance between two ends of the strip. One is short term and other is the long term. One is the financial and other is the non-financial measure, lagging and the leading indicators, and internal and external performance perspective. So it in fact takes a system approach to measure any supply chain. These are the four perspectives, and the four different perspectives actually comes from taking into account different supply chain trading partners' point of view. If we talk about the financial perspective, it is basically the stakeholders' view. Because in the stakeholders' view is only the view that how the company is growing on financial parameters. Here, the mission is to succeed financially by delivering values to its stakeholders. The stakeholders may not be interested in the qualitative parameters. Similarly, the customer perspectives. The customer perspective can also be termed as the value-adding perspective. Here, the mission is to achieve our vision by delivering the value to our customer. So, customer perspective is how successfully or how best we are able to meet the customer's requirement. So, this is the customer perspective. It doesn't speak in terms of financial metrics. Similarly, internal perspective. It is more of a kind of process-based approach. Here, the mission is to promote efficiency and effectiveness in the business processes. So it is about more to work on efficiency and effectiveness. Similarly, learning and the growth perspective. It is a future view. I mean, in the next 10 to 12 years, where we would like to view our company or our businesses. So basically here mission was to achieve our vision by sustaining innovation and change capabilities through continuous improvement and preparation for future challenges. So here the stress is on to meet the future challenges. You see, today's competitive business era, we all acknowledge the product development cycles are compressed like anything. Nobody has imagined that before the advent of the Android, the Android has changed the entire mobile and this communication business altogether. The earlier leading companies like Nokia, it cannot be seen, it can no longer be seen in the market because it has not taken that perspective into account, that there is a platform in terms of the Android that could come in future and change the face of the industry altogether. So learning and growth perspective is about taking our companies at 10 to 12 years from today. So it is a basically future-based point of view. So balanced scorecard takes into account financial perspective, customer perspective, internal perspective, and the learning and growth perspective, and suggests a balanced performance measurement system for any business unit. This slide speaks about relationships among the four perspectives in the balanced scorecard. I mean, how these perspectives, on one hand, having different kind of point of view, how they can interact or integrate with each other. So this slide establishes a relationship between these perspectives. So financial perspectives, goal and measures. How do we look at shareholders? Basically, financial perspective means how we are to look at our stakeholders. Whereas customer perspective means up to what extent we are able to meet customer needs, how satisfying our customers are. So for that matter, what could be our goals and what could be the measures to achieve those goals. So how we look at the customer, that is the customer perspective. Similarly, internal business perspective is how Are we working efficiently and effective manner to achieve our sales target? Our strategies are proper strategies are put into place to effectively design our our tactics to meet the customer's requirements. So that is the internal business perspective. It is sort of introspection. So we decide on goals and accordingly we work on measures. Similarly, innovation and the learning perspective. What are the emerging opportunities and challenges? Whether we have the system in place to meet those challenges, to address those challenges, and to turn the tides in favor of our company. So these different perspectives are related in the sense that how do we look at the shareholder? It is a financial perspective, but definitely, unless we satisfy our customers, we cannot meet the expectation of shareholders, because the shareholders at the end of the day are only interested in financial measures. Our profitability definitely and market share will get increased once we are able to satisfy the customer in the best possible manner. Another thing is, today's customer is much demanding than the earlier customer. Our innovation and the learning aspect of our company is taking into account the changing dynamic changing demand of the customers. Whether we have a system in place that could help our existing technology, existing systems to meet the challenging demands of the customer so that we can sustain. So whether our internal efficiency and the customer satisfaction, because they together act as a financial success to any enterprises. So in nutshell, we may say that these different perspectives, if integrated together, can give a balanced performance measure of any business. So financial perspectives will take into so this balance scorecard, if put into practice for supply chain performance measurement system, can easily classify the different performance metrics suggested by the Gunasekharan into different perspectives. So what balance scorecard suggests? Balance scorecard try to put these different supply chain performance metrics into different perspectives. Like financial perspectives, the different it can classify. It suggests that these are the performance metrics such as net profit versus productivity ratio, customer query time, variation against budget, buyer-supplier partnership levels, delivery performance, supplier cost saving initiative, and cost per operation hours, etc. So these can come into the financial perspective category. Similarly, for what are the performance metrics which are of importance to a customer, to a consumer, maybe sometimes. So balance scorecard again search and the filter the different performance metrics from customer perspective, like customer query time. You will appreciate the customer query time appeared in the financial perspective category as well. So some of the performance metrics may fall into more than one perspective as well in the balance scorecard, different perspectives. So customer query time, level of customer perceived value of product, range of production services, order lead time, flexibility of service system to meet particular customer needs, till achievement of different defect-free deliveries. So these all are of importance from the customer point of view. So customer perspective includes these different performance metrics. In the same manner, what are the performance metrics which can improve our internal businesses? So balance scorecard tries to include those performance metrics which are more related to internal business perspective. 5 minutes left. Similarly, innovation in the learning as well. These all metrics actually get generated to this supply chain cycle. Now, this is the pictorial representation of the performance measurement system, which we try to develop for measuring performance of any supply chain. If you look at this is a hierarchy. On the top of the hierarchy, the level 1, that is the goal is the overall performance measurement system. In its lower level, this performance measurement system has been categorized or divided into these 3 different decision categories: strategic, tactical, and the operational. If you look at these lines, the 7 lines, the vertical lines suggest there are 7 performance metrics which are of use at the strategic level. 4 lines indicates there are 4 metrics which are of which lie at the technical level, and the 4 performance metrics at the operational level. And the lowest level, it includes the different perspective or the balance scorecard. So this is the pictorial view of a performance measurement system that we have suggested for supply chain management. That if any supply chain management has to look at the overall performance measurement system, then it has to first review the performance measurement system at strategic level, strategic level, then tactical level, and the operational level. Now at strategic level, what are the performance metrics which are of importance? Similarly, at tactical level, at the operational level. So in this model, an analytical hierarchy process methods have been used to pairwise compare different performance metrics. So that is a general hierarchy. With the help of a mathematical technique, analytical hierarchy process, the different decision levels, strategic, tactical, and the operational, were first pairwise compared. Can you see that? Strategic, tactical, and operational. So these different decision levels were pairwise compared to zero in on the result that out of these 3 decision levels, which of the decision level is of highest importance and which of the decision level is of the least importance. Similarly, at the strategic level, if there are 7 performance metrics as categorized as suggested by the Gunasekar and the previous tables, previous slides we have seen, what are the performance measures or the metrics which are of the which are crucial or the vital at strategic level? What are the performance measures or the metrics which are of the least important? So at this level, all these 7 measures are pairwise compared to establish or to arrive at a conclusion that what are the performance metrics which is most urgent, so that the manager based at the strategic level, they can target and they invest their energy to address or to look at those metrics only. Similarly, at tactical level, there are 4 performance measures. So out of 4, which is of the most important and which is of the least important, so that they can avoid and they can put more emphasis on the most important measures only. Similarly, at operational level, right? Now, at the lowest level, there are different perspectives. So at the end of the day, these 4 perspectives were compared pairwise and suggested that which of the perspective is most important for supply chain. Similarly, 7 plus 4 plus 4, there are 15 performance metrics. So all these performance metrics, again, these different business perspectives were pairwise compared with respect to individual performance metrics as well. Can you see that these lines? So these are 15 lines interacting with each other. So at different performance metric also, we compare different perspectives. Similarly, different levels with respect to different decision levels, we compare the different performance metrics. And I'm just taking one case that suggests that when we compare these decision levels, it suggests that the highest weight comes for the strategic level. followed by the operational, and the least important is the technical level. So the people which are based at the helm of affair, they can take a call on that if we are to view performance measure meant for an entire system, they have to focus more at strategic level metrics, followed by operational. Interestingly, the tactical level performance metrics have been rated as least importance. So that was the different decision levels comparison. Now this slide speaks about that at strategic level there are 7 performance metrics as suggested by the Gunasek. If they are pairwise compare, if they are pairwise compared, then which of the performance metrics is come as a highest importance important metrics? If you look at this table, we'll find that this value 0.254 corresponds to the buyer supplier partnership comes at the top level. So that followed by delivery lead time. So the people which are based at a strategic level, they can more invest their energies on the buyer supplier partnerships, delivery lead time, and the other measures such as flexibility to meet particular customer needs. And they can afford to look at the other least important performance metric. Similarly, this slide speaks about the tactical and the operational level. The moral of the story is this framework has been proposed to suggest the people at tactical and the operational level to focus on the performance metrics which are of most importance to them, like extent of cooperation at tactical level followed by product development has been rated very high, whereas the total transportation cost is of not any significance. So the tactical people, they can afford to forget about this matrix and focus more about the extent of operation and the protected development. Whereas at operational level, the manufacturing cost, the capacity utilization has been rated as the highest required, highest weighted performance metrics. So operational people may be more concerned about the capacity utilization rather than the information carrying cost. So this framework has suggested that in the earlier we can pairwise compare and suggest that which level is of highest importance and which level is the least important. Similarly, at different level, we can zero in on that which are the performance metrics which are of the most importance, which are very crucial and the vital. Similarly, at tactical and operational level. So it will save a lot of energy of our decision managers because they can afford to ignore performance metrics which are of hardly any importance to them. Similarly, A, B, C, D, and O, these are all different performance metrics. Now I have come to this level in the hierarchy. In the lowest level, where all these 15 metrics have been. So all these 15 performance metrics, with respect to these metrics, the different perspectives of the balanced scorecard have been pairwise compared. And from performance metrics point of view, which of the respective is of the most important and the least important has been categorized and decided. So that suppose D is the lead time. So from lead time point of view, which of the measure is of the highest importance? And we can see that the internal business process is and the customer perspective has been a bit higher. So naturally, the lead time is more customer-driven metrics. So it makes sense that we focus on the customer perspective more with respect to the delivery lead time and the internal business process. If our supply chain system is not able to meet the customer's lead time, then we have to focus on our internal businesses to improve our efficiency and effectiveness. Now, priorities with respect to different decision levels. I mean, this table says that from a strategic point of view, which of the business perspective is of the highest importance. So at the end of the day, that not all the business perspective may be of equally importance to the strategic, tactical, and the operational people. So people sitting at the strategic level, they may be interested to know that which of the perspective is of the highest importance to them. Like for instance, here the customer perspective has been rated as the highest. If you look at the tactical level, it is the innovation and the learning perspective is of the highest importance. And at an operational level, it is the internal business processes. So the advantage here is that as the balanced scorecard suggests all different perspectives, but for the strategic point of view, strategic level, people they more focus on the perspective which is of the highest importance. And if you look at the overall performance scenario, I mean the top level, by adopting a systems approach, we can see that the customer perspective followed by the internal business perspective has been rated high vis-a-vis innovation and the learning perspective. Meaning is that if when the decision managers based at the strategic level has to look at the business different balance scorecard perspectives, so they have to look at these results. Based on that, they can take a call that according to that this perspective is important. But when the prism of viewing the overall performance, I mean here in this table, the lower table, the scale is the long-term overall performance of the business rather than the strategic, tactical, and the operational level decision managers. So here, when one is a general manager or the vice president, based at the strategic level, he can look at this perspective based on their relative importance. But when in an annual general meeting of a company, when the overall performance has to be viewed, then we are to go by this table, because here the importance is to be given by for the customer. But for operational people, the customer was not as important as the internal business aspect. So here in this framework, we can easily suggest the people based at operational level that they need no longer they need not to focus more on the customer. Their focus should be on the internal business and the financial perspective. Financial perspective in the sense means how competitive they could manufacture, how frequently they can reduce their waste, how frequently they can reduce waste elimination and the rejection. But when the company has to look at from the overall performance measurement point of view, then maybe the customer perspective followed by the internal business perspective takes the front seat. This framework is basically based on the findings conducted where SMEs majority take part as a different supply chains. So based on their feedbacks, this certain analysis were done, and this recommendation have been suggested. Now, this problem also becomes a goal programming problem. Goal programming problem in the sense that when the objectives are more than one. To measure a overall performance, there are different decision making people involved based on their different position at the hierarchy. So in this problem, we have mathematically modeled this program in a way that P1, P2, P3 becomes the different decision levels goals. P1 is the performance measurement for the strategic level. P2 is the performance measurement at operational level, and P3 at the tactical level. You see here, rating has been taken because based on the earlier analytical hierarchy process based analysis. If you look at the analysis, we have seen that strategic level has been rated as the most important decision level followed by the operational level. So similarly, here at second level is not the technical level, it is the operational level, because our previous results suggest that operational level is more important than the technical level. So these three different goals have been from the objective function is the goals. PI range from 1 to 3, where 1 stands for strategic level, 2 for operational level, and 3 for tactical level. So these 1, 2, 3 ratings have come from our previous analysis, as I just suggested, I just stated. This K is basically the performance metric. There are 15 metrics. So at I is equal to 1 means strategic level, there are 7 metrics. So K varies from 1 to 7 for strategic level. And K varies from 8, 9, 10. I mean 11. There are 4 metrics at operational level. Similarly, 4 metrics at decision level. So this mathematical modeling has been done based on that. So initially, the ranking of the performance measures have been done based on the previous analysis. So strategic level, operational level, and the tactical level, different goals have been decided, and it becomes a multi-objective goal programming that has been solved, and it suggested these results. The goal programming suggests that the maximum objective function value comes for the P3 level, followed by P2 and P1. This is the Z value, objective function value, and it suggests that the different values of different performance measures. So again, it suggests that which of the performance measure metrics has got a maximum value, which are the metrics which are of least importance. So overall, the decision makers can take a call easily that what are the different metrics which are of the more of the highest importance. They can invest their energy on that as one of the prerequisite. The impediment we have seen in the performance measurement system was that the performance measurement should suggest lesser number of performance metrics. So this framework, it has been an attempt is made to suggest to narrow down the different performance metrics as suggested by the Gunasekaran. So first, we have tried to categorize or classify these metrics at a strategic, tactical, and operational level. So this work basically uh, view the supply chain management from a system point of view, where stakes of different stakeholders are taken into account. So it is imperative to measure its performance from different perspectives. So in this work, different performance metrics have been classified at different decision levels. It discusses to distinguish them between financial and non-financial as well. And the balanced scorecard includes all different perspectives. But at the end of the day, the final takeaway is to suggest the important metrics for supply chains, the important decision levels for supply chains, and the different business perspectives for supply chains, so that they can put their energy, they can stress more on the decision levels, metrics, and the perspective which are of highest importance to them. So that could save a lot of resources, energy, and the investment for any of the business entities. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, any questions, sir? there was a small disturbance in audio at our end, probably.